Welcome back to another blind resume critique sent in by a viewer. The facts that we know about this person is that this person currently is in the Master's of Science in Finance program. They do not have work experience in finance. The roles that they are seeking includes financial analyst, risk analyst, investment analyst. They are transitioning careers, in which we'll find out more about. They've applied to 50 to 60 positions without any luck. They are currently a research assistant for a corporate finance prof. I have not looked at the resume yet, so I am going to look at this for the first time as though I am the hiring manager looking at the resume and give you my reaction of what a hiring manager would think if they are looking at this. As usual, let's look at the three different key points of a resume. From the first glance, the structure looks nice. It is clean. It's got the different sections. There's enough white space that it's not so busy and I don't know where I'm supposed to look at. The different sections, education, just like the last resume, since the work experience is not very strong, this person listed education first. Skills, coursework, projects, work experience, and volunteer experience. I think the different sections are fine. I would put a profile section in the beginning as well. So a couple of sentences where a hiring manager can just read that and get a sense of what this person's background is. And we can address that at the end and see what this person has to offer and put that profile together. In terms of the dates, everything is aligned to the right. So I like that. I think this has a good structure. I do notice, however, that the dates don't exactly match up. The 4 and the 9, if you see here, there is a little bit more space between the right-hand side and the 4. So just make sure that even details like this is exactly correct. I also notice that we have 3 letters for the month and the 4 digits of the year for most of them, but here we have June, which is 4 letters, so that's also another consistency that you have to make sure that you follow. Here, geography and the dates are switched up, missing the details, so switch these around so that it follows the consistency of these other ones above. I also notice that this is a small dash, whereas this is a big dash. And here it says 2. So pick one and be consistent with that as well. Make sure that all of the spacing here is also very consistent. Overall, not too bad in the format and structure. I would just make those minor fixes and I think that should be good to go. Now let's look at the content. We'll come back to writing the profile section at the very end after we've considered what this person has to offer. Looking at education, nothing wrong here. Everything looks good. Skills, financial skills. When you want to highlight your skills, you have to be as specific as possible, because if you list general skills like financial analysis, data visualization, risk analysis, the only thing that the hiring manager is going to think is anybody can write these skills. You don't really know if this person can do it or not. So be a bit more specific. I like the fact that you do have option trading, crypto futures trading. In the technical skills, Tableau, SPSS modular, Python. But as I mentioned in the last critique as well, Excel, PowerPoint, these are all skills that are very basic and that everyone applying to financial analyst roles are expected to already know how to do. And so I wouldn't necessarily write those as technical skills. What I think you should do in this specific case is, since you have a mathematics and computer science background, you should definitely play this up. Think about, let's say, a fund manager who has a team of 10 analysts looking at different companies to invest in. In order to have an edge, they would want to try different analysis involving data sets, big data sets, and analyzing different slices of the data to try to find patterns of what works. So what have you done in mathematics and computer science that takes big data, slices them in different ways, uses certain softwares and coding, different statistical and analytical skills to uncover their algorithm of investing. So think about something like that and highlight it here. And so to recap in terms of skills, just writing financial analysis, data visualization, risk analysis, these are too generic. Or dive deeper into your memory of what have you done in your bachelor's and master's that is very analytical and can be applied to coming up with the best investment thesis that can benefit the fund manager. Soft skills, I think some of these can actually go into your 2 to 3 sentence narrative in the profile, but listing it out like this is a little bit of a risk. Generally don't list out soft skills like this, but we can certainly create a profile that encompasses a couple of these. Now, moving on to coursework projects. Deck, it's missing the K here. I think this is actually pretty good. It shows that you were heavily involved in the modeling process, and you listed out the revenue forecast, cash flow statements, and project future financial performance. I think if you can include a few more details of what types of models and analyses you incorporated, then it would beef up this. And I do like that you helped raise venture capital. So this is the part that I was discussing earlier about what is unique to you that you can really highlight to stand out from everybody else. Because of your master's in finance, your mathematics and computer science background, your experience in and knowledge in that can really be something that fund managers look for, because they're always looking for hard skills that can look at patterns of historical data. So think about here, analyzed historical trend and market conditions of crypto futures. What exactly did you analyze? What kind of trend did you analyze? What was one trend and certain market conditions that you were playing with? So I would highlight that as an example here, which then bridges to leading to a trading strategy and increased portfolio return. Now, I don't quite understand this part, increased portfolio return by 15%. Did you invest in this as well as analyze? Or was this analyzing the trend and then after a year you looked at what the return would be if you were to invest in this company? I'm not quite sure. It's missing context a little bit, so I would add that here too. I think this actually warrants 2 bullet points. So analyzing the historical trends and then adding something here to show how that increased the return by 15% is 1 bullet point. And then the second bullet point would be maintaining risk exposure within targeted limits. Because you mention up here risk analysis, that's one way to show how you know how to do risk analysis, by explaining here how you maintained risk exposure within target limits. Again, this is the point of a good resume. When you list out skills that are generic, people don't know if you know how to do it, and people don't know exactly what that means. These are all concepts. So when you list it here and you're able to show as examples exactly what that means and bridge that, that's what makes a really good resume that stands out. Next is diversified ETF portfolio strategy. Is it counties or countries? What does it mean by crafted and managed a diversified portfolio? What was your strategic asset allocation hinged upon? Was it a certain investment thesis? Was it because you used analysis? Was it because you looked at historical trends? Talk about specifically what it was that your strategic allocation was based on that led to the outperforming of your S&P 500 portfolio by 3% over a 6-month period. Next, country risk analysis. I do like this, so I think this is a good project to highlight that you have here. But what I would like to know is when you say assessed both risk and opportunities associated with investing, I want to know what that is. And I want to know when you do employ theoretical framework analytical tools and real world data. You mentioned real world data here, but really, how does this country risk analysis benefit the fund manager. Next is the work experience. So IT analyst, this person is also a research assistant for a corporate finance professor. I think that actually would be okay to include. I think it might be better under coursework projects and highlight what you helped in researching. Again, how does that relate to and connect to a real fund manager's goal, which is to increase their portfolio and have a unique edge over other fund managers. Here, IT analyst, student assistant, we don't need to put student assistant. You can just say IT analyst, provided comprehensive support to 10,500 students. You can put a comma here, or you can just say 10K plus students, faculty and staff with university database and SaaS application. Does it matter if you did Zoom or Microsoft Teams or in person? No, it really doesn't matter. So I would say provided one-on-one or group assistance. You don't need to write this down. Here we put provided in here instead of saying provided one-on-one or group assistance. I would say resolved user queries one-on-one or in a group setting, which included issues regarding Canvas, but I wouldn't actually write Canvas because people who are not in school don't know what Canvas is. So I would say something that's like issues with the university-wide software or something like that. Developed comprehensive solution guides for most common encountered problems by users on Canvas and Workday. You're saying, and this one is actually a capital C, so be careful of that. Developed user-friendly technical guide solutions or technical solution guides for most commonly encountered problems by users on university-wide softwares like Canvas and Workday. Senior associate, Genpact Private Limited. I have no idea what you did here. I don't know what this company does. I don't know what it means by process associates. I don't know what SRT tool is. You said improvement in accuracy, team accuracy in archery, team accuracy in typing skills. I don't know what that means. A tool that was developed by Meta for content moderation. Is this a forum or is it content development online? I don't know. So you need to have a bullet point here explaining what you did, which weaves in what the company does. Is it a marketing company? Take process associates out because I don't know what that is. You can say led team of 20 to do what? What were they doing? And what were you overseeing that they were doing? Managing their daily operations, but what kind of business is this? Designed and implemented new workflow. That's great, but what kind of business is it? Resulting 90% improvement in team accuracy for doing what? I can tell you one thing. All of this has nothing to do with a finance job. You're not demonstrating any transferable skills here. And I'm sure you have heard in different places that you should highlight results of improvements in performance, which is correct. But if we don't know what that is, then it has completely no relevance whatsoever. How can you incorporate points that actually explains what the company does and what you did? And also, if you say that these skills, financial analysis, data visualization, risk analysis, options trading, all of these are what you can do, hark back to when you were at this company. Was there anything from here that you can incorporate into here? Those are what it means by transferable skills. Think about analytical tools. Think about leveraging what kind of platforms to create dashboards and summaries and writing something similar to like an equity research. Next was ARBE, Financial Treasure. What were these optimization options? That is the key here because you can say 6% increase in cash reserves, but 6% increase in cash reserve can be you had $100, you spent $6 less, and therefore you have a 6% increase. I mean, I know that number doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean. There is no context here. When you say identified optimization options, right? For example, and then specifically what they are. Implemented tax saving strategies. What kind of tax saving strategies did you implement? And when you say full compliance, I don't think you need to write this, because if you aren't in compliance of tax laws, then you would go to jail. So this is kind of a given. Increased firm's investment budget by 20%, leading to 10% profit growth. This is a very transferable skill, but I don't know exactly what it means here that you did. So designed and implemented new budget framework. What's one example of a framework that you can highlight here? This is a very good transferable skill. So think about how you can showcase exactly, which shows that you do know what you're doing, as opposed to just writing down what you think sounds great on paper. You highlighted all these numbers of 90% improvement, 56% reduction, 45% increase, 6% increase, 10% annually. If you're going to mention these numbers, then be specific in how you achieved it. It's better to, let's say, write 2 of these increase and decrease or whatever savings in numbers with specific A to B to C in how you achieved it for just a few of these points than having all of these points without the background to support it. Quality over quantity in those points. And then finally, volunteer experience, all caps lock. The consistency, again, turn this back into similar formatting as above. Statistics tutor is a great volunteering experience that's relevant. If you're going to say statistics, then say statistics instead of stats. Weekly biases or basis. I think this is a great volunteer point to have. So overall, I think having been rejected from 50 to 60 positions, the experience itself is in a good shape. I think the content is missing a lot of the specifics that make you stand out. To identify which areas you need to beef it up with specific examples to highlight your skill set. And that's what is mainly missing in this resume. Based on your background, I would recommend more of applying to fund management and risk analysis department of companies in fund management as well, especially given your master's in finance, mathematics, and computer science. Finally, as we said, we would come back to the profile. One hypothetical profile that you could write: master's in finance professional with a statistical and computer science background and experience, strong technical skill set analyzing big data and ability to manipulate data to visual frameworks, proficient in building financial models, and develop own investment thesis and strategic asset allocation. I hope this resume critique was helpful. More will be on the way. If you're interested, then email me here with your resume for critique.